4 a.m., I heard the door unlock, my wife's sinister secret exposed by a mysterious voice. The clock blinked 4 a.m., an eerie time when shadows danced like whispers against the walls. Max's heart was a drum in his chest, thumping louder than usual due to that uncanny presence enveloping the house. Just moments before, he had tossed and turned, tangled in the sheets, haunted by an inexplicable sense of dread. His wife, Jenna, had slipped out of their bed hours ago, or so he thought. The house felt alive and breathing, each creak of the floorboards beneath his feet echoing through the stillness like a ghostly conversation. Just then, a noise pierced the silence, a distinct click, like a key turning in a lock. It came from the front door. Max's breath caught in his throat. What was Jenna doing at this hour? A sudden rush of cold swept over him, causing his skin to prickle with goosebumps. He left the warmth of the bed, shuffling to the door, senses acute, every nerve on fire. He peered through the peephole, the kaleidoscope of darkness promising a danger he couldn't yet fathom. Outside, the streetlights cast an amber glow, illuminating the neighborhood in a strange, cracked beauty. But there was no sign of his wife. Panic surged like a wave crashing down on a quiet shore. With a hesitant hand, he placed it on the doorknob, its cool metal chilling him to his core. Suddenly, he heard a voice, a sultry whisper that sent a shiver down his spine. "It's okay, Jenna. Let us go," it said. Who was this? The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. He wanted to scream, but only a strangled whisper escaped his lips. The woman he loved was in trouble, and without a second thought, he yanked the door open. The night air was thick and suffocating, mingling with his fear. No one stood there, just the haunting call of silence that echoed back his confusion. What if this was about more than he could comprehend? He turned back, thoughts racing. He needed answers, needed them now. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With determination, he pulled out his phone, the bright screen spilling light over the darkened, murky space before him. Each whispered word from the night echoed against his thoughts. He couldn't shake the icy grip of imagination running wild. Where had Jenna gone? Was she even safe? But he couldn't linger. A storm of urgency surged like a tidal wave behind him. A thought gripped him harder than fear. What if she was hiding something? What if she had invited danger into their lives? And in the thick, heavy silence, he took a step back, probing into the chilling realization that the only way he'd find out was to follow the fragmented pieces of this sinister puzzle. Where would it lead him? The dim light of his phone screen illuminated a sliver of the room as Max stood frozen, heart racing. Each second weighed heavily, pulling him deeper into a chasm of uncertainty. He paced back to the living room, glancing over the familiar couch and coffee table, now cloaked in shadows as if they belonged to another life. With a deep breath, he attempted to quell the rising panic. Jenna was out there somewhere, and that voice, it was a chilling reminder of a reality he hadn't wanted to confront. The voice felt so familiar, yet underlined with darkness. He flipped his phone open, the bright screen harsh against the murkiness. As he dialed Jenna's number, he listened to the ringtone echo judgment, a stark contrast to the eerie silence that hung around him. No answer. "Come on, Jenna," he mumbled under his breath, the desperation spitting out through cracked lips. Unable to stay still, Max slipped on his sneakers, the thud of his heartbeat drowning out the sound of laces grazing his trembling fingers. Any shred of hesitation disappeared, consumed by adrenaline as he opened the door, stepping into the night. The cool air hit him, shocking and unwelcome, wrapping around him like a cloak of dread. Darkness swept the street. Every shadow morphed into something more sinister as he marched down the sidewalk, straining to hear even a hint of Jenna's voice. The neighborhood felt different, tinged with an unholy silence. The typical hum of distant cars and the rustle of leaves seemed to have vanished, leaving only the sound of his own pulse hammering in his ears, and then footsteps. The distinct sound of hurried heels clicking against pavement cut through the void. It emerged from an alley just a few feet away. Max's instincts kicked in. He edged closer, the shadows swallowing him whole, every nerve ending taut with anticipation. Peering around the corner, he spotted a figure, a woman, unmistakably Jenna. But her back was to him. She was on the phone, her voice low, urgent. Unrecognizable. "I'll be there in 5," she hissed, glancing over her shoulder as if she sensed someone was watching. The tension in the air snapped as she turned, but instead of catching a glimpse of her face, she vanished deeper down the alley. Max lunged forward, propelled by instinct. What was she doing? The alley was alive with shadows, making him feel as if he were trapped in a surreal nightmare. He wasn't sure what drove him more, fear or love. Racing after her, he shouted her name, but it fell flat against the brick walls, swallowed by the night. He turned the corner, and everything changed. The alley ended abruptly, where an old warehouse loomed, its steel doors cracked open, a gaping mouth inviting secrets to spill forth. The sound of muffled voices drifted from inside, and Max felt an icy tendril coil around his spine. Was she in there? The voice he'd heard outside had to belong to someone waiting for her. As he stepped closer, the darkness inside felt alive, beckoning him to breach the threshold and discover what lay within, a grotesque puzzle waiting to be solved. Would he be prepared for the truth that lay beyond that door? What revelation awaited him in the depths of this shadowy lair? With trepidation tightening his throat, he pushed the door open, bracing himself for whatever chaos awaited him. Would he find Jenna or the monster hiding in plain sight? The eerie silence held its breath as he crossed the threshold. As Max stepped inside, the heavy door creaked ominously, resonating against the walls of the warehouse. The air was thick with the smell of grease and decay, wrapping around him like a shroud. His heart drummed in his ears, every echo amplifying the fear clawing at his insides. He hesitated, taking careful steps into the darkness, where the faint glow of a single light bulb flickered overhead like a heartbeat. Shadows danced along the walls, mocking his cautious approach. The murmur of voices grew clearer, and he strained to catch the words, but they were muffled, shrouded in urgency and dread. "She's not supposed to be here." One voice hissed, urgent and fearful. Max's breath hitched. Was that Jenna's voice? Too late for that now. "We have to deal with it. No more chances, or we're done for," another voice added, colder and laden with menace. He crept closer, heart pounding in sync with the tension in the room. Each word seemed to stain the air with a sharp chill. As he inched toward the source of the conversation, he spotted a figure half illuminated by the flickering light. It was hard to tell who it was, the shadows clinging like a second skin. They wore a dark hoodie, obscuring their face, but there was something familiar about their stance, the confidence, the urgency. "Jenna!" He called out, the name piercing through the thick atmosphere. The voices fell silent, replaced by a suffocating stillness. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes resting on him, sizing him up. The hooded figure turned slowly, and though their face remained concealed, Max felt the unmistakable chill of recognition prickling on his skin. "Max," it was Jenna's voice, low and strained. "Where are you?" Panic surged as he rushed forward, desperate to reach her, to pull her away from whatever had ensnared her in this web of darkness. "Stay back. You shouldn't have come here." Jenna shouted, the urgency lacing her voice, tightening Max's chest. "What do you mean?" "I was worried. I thought," but before he could finish, the other figure stepped into the light, revealing a sharp jawline and a sneer that dripped with malice. It wasn't just the darkness weighing down the atmosphere, it was the sickening tattoo of betrayal that set in his gut. "Max, you need to leave. Now," Jenna said, but her voice was shaky. The fierce glint in her eyes was spiraling into something else, fear. Regret? Are you into something dangerous, Jenna? What is going on? Max, please, just trust me, she begged, desperation tinging her tone. The man shifted closer to Jenna, placing a possessive hand on her shoulder. Max's blood boiled. Trust you? You're hiding something. I can feel it. Who is this guy? He searched her face for answers, but the shadows worked against him, warping everything between them. It's not what you think, Jenna replied, shaking her head. I've been trying to protect you, both of us. Protect? The word twisted in his mind, darkening the hope that clung like ivy in his heart. What exactly was she trying to protect him from? Suddenly, the foreboding atmosphere shattered when the sound of a gun cocked cut through the tension, a hard and chilling statement, freezing Max in place. Get out, or you'll regret it, the man warned, his voice steady and dangerously calm. Max's breath caught as he glanced back at Jenna. Her eyes shimmered under the light, a turmoil of emotions battling within them. Jenna, please don't do this. We can leave, together, he urged, feeling a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. But the shadows had other plans, and the darkness lurking in the corners of the warehouse felt all too alive, waiting to engulf them all. Just as he gathered the courage to push forward, something in Jenna's stance shifted, the heaviness of her secret crashing down on them both. Max, it's too late. And then, a door creaked open at the back of the warehouse, a light spilling in that revealed not just an exit, but an unexpected figure stepping through the threshold, someone from the past, someone who could change everything. Who was this unknown arrival, and what would they unveil in the tangled web of lies? The door swung open, short bursts of light cutting through the dimness like knives. Max squinted against the brightness, his heart racing faster than ever. As his eyes adjusted, the figure stepped forward, bathed in light. It was impossible to comprehend their presence. Evelyn. The name escaped Max's lips in shock. His sister stood there, her face pale and drawn. Her familiar features were twisted with a mix of concern and something more sinister. Max's world stuttered to a halt, thoughts crashing like waves against jagged rocks. What are you doing here? He managed to croak, his breath hitching. She was the last person he expected to see in a place like this. Max, get out of here. Now. Evelyn's voice was urgent, almost frantic. Jenna's face turned from confusion to anger. What are you doing here, Ev? This doesn't concern you. It concerns him. You're dragging him into something he doesn't. Bam. The sound echoed in the warehouse, causing everyone to jump. The man with the cold sneer had slammed his palm on a barrel, gaining control of the conversation again. Shut it, sister. You're out of your depth here. Max's chest tightened. This was a load he never asked for, an avalanche he didn't see coming. The air felt thick with unsaid words, secrets hanging heavy. Jenna's demeanor changed, her eyes darting between Max and Evelyn, and back to the man. Who the hell are you? Max snapped, trying to break the mounting tension that threatened to choke him. I'm the one who has been keeping this circus together, the man sliced back, stepping forward. And I can pull the curtain at any moment. Max shot a glance at Jenna. What does that mean? They're not what they seem, Max. Evelyn injected, her voice a whisper now, desperate as ever. Jenna shook her head vehemently. No. You don't understand, Ev. You're only making things worse. Stop lying. Max yelled, throwing his hands up in exasperation. Emotions swirled within him like a tornado: fear, confusion, betrayal. Then, without warning, the man pulled his gun from his pocket and leveled it at Max, side-eyeing Jenna as he did. No more games. You need to get on the ground, both of you. The gun's metal glinted ominously, glacial and unyielding. Max's world compressed to a singular focus: survival. He caught Jenna's eyes, pleading, searching for an answer, a way out. But her face told him she was just as lost. Tell him the truth. Now. Evelyn urged Jenna, her voice breaking. Truth. Jenna spat, her frustration merging with her fear. You think now's the time for the truth? Yes. Evelyn nearly screamed. He needs to know. They've been playing you from the start. Max's heart raced even faster. Playing me? What the hell is going on? A laugh erupted from the man, it was cruel and echoing. You think you're at the center of this? It's far more twisted. With a shaky breath, Max steeled himself. Jenna, please. His voice dropped to a whisper. What is going on? Too late. The man's finger twitched, an ominous gesture that sent a shockwave of dread coursing through Max. Max, trust me. I'm bang. The sound of shattering glass interrupted her, and the warehouse erupted into chaos. Another figure burst through the broken window, a flash of motion that drew everyone's eyes. Who were they now? And what shocking revelation would they bring to this surging storm of deceit and danger? With every pulse in his veins screaming of urgency, Max braced himself. More secrets would come crashing down, and he could feel that the truth was waiting just beneath the surface, aching to unravel with a fervor he could not predict. The chaos whirled around him, a maelstrom of confusion and fear. Max's heart pounded in his chest as he caught glimpses of the new figure, arms raised in defiance. It was a woman, her dark hair wild, and her eyes locked on the man with the gun. Get away from him! She yelled, her voice piercing through the sea of tension. Who the hell are you? Jenna shot back, her voice tense. Just a friend. The woman replied, a hint of desperation lacing her words. I came to help Max. Help. The word hung in the air like a bad omen. Max felt the world narrowing around him. This wasn't help, this was a head-on collision of truths, lies, and the unfathomable darkness that seemed to loom over them all. Help. The man with the gun sneered. How quaint. You're just another piece in this game. His finger twitched again, the threat as real as the gun itself. Stay back. Max shouted, positioning himself slightly in front of Evelyn as if a sibling's bond could protect them from the rising tide of insanity. You don't know what you're doing, Jenna warned, her eyes darting. Fear gripped her, but anger simmered just under the surface. You can't trust her. I don't even know who to trust. Max thundered, exasperated. You're all acting like puppets in a sick show, and another burst of glass shattered the air, more chaos, more smoke, blending with the overwhelming scent of fear. The woman charged forward, her eyes fierce, and everything seemed to slow, momentarily. Time hung in a delicate balance as Max's heart raced. Max, listen to me. The urgency in her voice sliced through the tension. You don't know the truth about what's at stake here. They're using you. Using me? He asked, frustration boiling over. For what? What do you want from me? Everything. The man barked. Every last thing. You have no idea the power your name holds, do you? You're right at the center of this chaos. Max's stomach twisted, his thoughts racing. What was this madness? Max, they're after something you possess, the woman continued, her gaze fierce and unwavering, a spark of determination shining through her chaos. Something far more than just you. They'll stop at nothing to get it. What could I possibly have? He shouted, feeling the heat of desperation clawing at him. Your father's legacy, she said, panting slightly. And the truth about it. They're going to use you as a pawn, to unleash a nightmare that'll consume everything. Max's head spun. His father's legacy. All those years spent in his shadow, and now it seemed like an albatross around his neck, threatening to drag him down into the depths. Enough. The man roared, eyes wild. You're not in control here. I am. Get on the ground, now. Max felt the floor shift beneath him, the icy grip of reality sinking in. This was spiraling out of control, he could see it, taste it, feel it racing toward him like an avalanche. Max, please, just trust me. Don't let him manipulate you. The woman cried out again, and that plea stopped his breath. There was something in her voice, a vulnerability that broke through the clamor. But trust? In a place soaked in betrayal and secrets? Did he even have a choice? As the tension escalated and Max stood frozen, the world around him seemed to hang on the edge of a knife. Would he yield to fear, or would he choose to uncover the truth? Max, now! Evelyn shouted, snapping him from his daze, but which way? Would he dive into an abyss in pursuit of that spark of truth, or would darkness swallow them all? As the shadows enveloped them and the man prepared to pull the trigger, a final cry for help echoed. What would Max do next? Would he defy the odds or surrender to the fate carved by others? The air thickened with unanswered questions and looming danger, and Max stood on the brink of a decision that would seal their fates. The shot fired like a thunderclap, reverberating through the chaos. Time seized, the world around Max blurred into a haze of confusion and panic. The woman lunged forward, a wild expression on her face as she attempted to shield him. No! Evelyn screamed, terror twisting her features. Max flinched, his eyes darting between Jenna and the man with the gun. The chaos erupted into a frantic dance of bodies, people screaming, some scrambling for cover as the sound of rubber-soled shoes skidded against concrete. Max! The woman's voice strained, a desperate urgency that reached him through the bedlam. Don't stand there. You need to move. Max barely registered her words as the reality of their situation settled over him like a heavy fog. He could feel the cool dampness of sweat trickling down his back, and it sickened him. Every breath he took was soaked in fear. His gut twisted, amplifying the threats surrounding him. Then, the shattering noise that followed the gunfire felt like a slap. A window crashing to the ground drew his attention, Prince of Chaos exposed in a fleeting moment before he felt a surge of motion behind him. Without thinking, he grabbed Evelyn's arm, pulling her toward the closed door at the far end of the room. Let us go now. He shouted, determination washing over him. The man barked a harsh command, you think you can escape? Get back here. As Max yanked the door open, an unexpected rush of fresh air greeted him, cutting through the stench of fear and gunpowder. For a heartbeat, he could breathe again. But then, in the doorway stood the hulking shadow of Jenna. Her eyes were wild and filled with fury. Don't you dare! She thundered, leaning against the frame like a brick wall. Max hesitated. It was a brief moment, but in that sliver of time, between fleeing for their lives and confronting Jenna's wrath, everything hung in the balance. Max! The woman's voice pierced through again. We're running out of time. Something deep inside him roared, a primal instinct urging him forward. He could feel the heat of her fear and trust pulling at him, anchoring him as danger lurked so close. He stepped into the doorway, using his shoulder to push past Jenna, who stumbled back in shock. Move! He bellowed, urgency propelling him. The man's lethal tone thundered behind them, this ends now. They dashed into the alley, cold air biting at their skin. Every footfall felt heavy against the pavement. As they reached the street, adrenaline made everything sharper, the night lights flickering overhead, the sounds of distant sirens wailing like banshees, the shadows dancing under the street lamps. Do you know where we're going? Evelyn gasped, breathless. Max turned, scanning the narrow street. To find the truth and to figure out exactly what they want. You can tell me now. He glanced at her, feeling the weight of questions hang in the air between them. What is it? But before she could respond, a shrill scream echoed through the night, raising the hairs on his arms. They whipped around just in time to see Jenna bolting after them, her eyes blazing with undeterred fury. Max! You can't run! She shouted, desperation leaking from her voice. You have to understand. A chill ran down his spine. Did he really want to? The distance closed quickly. Panic surged within him. What did she want? Trust? Loyalty? Or control? Just then, the woman seized his arm, her grip fierce. We need to go. Now. They're coming for us. Max nodded, his legs pumping in rhythm with her pull, fear clawing at his mind like a vice, squeezing away clarity. He didn't know if he could trust her. But in that moment, the truth seemed to hang tantalizingly close, and he had to see it through. As they hurried down the alley, the urgency of their situation shot through him like a lightning bolt. But what was the truth? And what horrors awaited if he dared to chase it? Max risked a glance back. The shadows were closing in. What would he find once he uncovered the secrets buried deep within this chaos? The answers danced just out of reach, and as he stumbled forward, it felt like stepping into the lion's den. With the darkness creeping closer, tension saturated the air. Did he have the strength to unveil the truth, even if it meant facing his worst fears? Max's heart raced as the echo of footsteps chased them along the slick pavement. The cold air struggled to fill his lungs, a sharp contrast to the heat of his panic. He glanced to his side, where Evelyn's face was twisted in concern, her dark hair whipping in the wind. "Where are we going?" she urged, the urgency of her voice pulling his focus back to their escape. "Anywhere but here," he shouted, not fully aware of what he was saying. They rounded a corner, desperate breaths mingling with the distant wail of sirens. The world fell into a blend of shadows and noise, a symphony of chaos unfolding behind them. But there was no time to stop, no moment to catch a breath, so they pushed ahead, weaving through abandoned cars parked haphazardly on the side of the road. "I can't just leave her." Evelyn looked back, a shadow of guilt washing over her. Max felt a mix of empathy and frustration surging within him. "Jenna made her choice when she pointed that gun at me." The words felt heavy, but they hung between them like a lifeline, demanding action. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught his eye, a figure darting past the end of the street. The looming silhouette was familiar. It was Jenna, laser-focused, sprinting after them, her expression a cocktail of rage and desperation. Max couldn't shake the sense that it was more than just anger, there was something palpable, almost primal, igniting her pursuit. "Max!" Evelyn shouted, tugging at him again, pulling him back to reality. "We can't let her catch us." As if on cue, the city conspired against them. A nearby garbage truck grumbled to life, its engine roaring, almost drowning out the chaos. With an instinct sharpened by fear, Max turned sharply into a dark alleyway, the solid walls narrowing around them, closing off the world. "Where now?" Evelyn gasped, scanning their surroundings. "Back here," he said, urging her to follow him deeper into the shadows. The oppressive darkness swallowed them, muffling the sounds of the outside world. A sense of safety enveloped him, albeit temporarily. But then, beneath the rush of adrenaline, a creeping doubt settled into his gut. What if Jenna caught up to them? What if they had inadvertently led her closer to the truth, whatever that meant? "I don't like this," Evelyn's voice trembled, raw with concern. She reached out to grip his arm, grounding him. "We need answers. I can't keep running forever." "Neither can I," he confessed, his voice barely a whisper, stifled by uncertainty. "But they're hunting us. We need a plan, some way to turn the tables." With that thought planted firmly in his mind, he edged slowly to the back of the alley. There was an old, rusty fire escape, its rungs dangling precariously above their heads. His eyes settled on it like a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos and uncertainty. "Let us see if we can get up there," he suggested, pointing to the escape. Evelyn's brow furrowed. "You really think we could?" But before she could finish her sentence, another series of shouts rang out. The unmistakable voice of the man with the gun sliced through the air. "They went this way. Don't let them escape." Panic surged once more, fueling Max's legs as he jumped for the metal rungs. It creaked and groaned under his weight as he pulled himself up, helping Evelyn after him. As they reached the landing, breathing heavily, he let the darkness of the alley below swallow their silhouettes. "Max," Evelyn whispered, her fingers clutching the railing. "What if we're walking into a trap?" His heart sank, but he couldn't let her fear spread. "Then we'll be ready for it," whatever it is. They climbed higher, the streets unfolding below them like a chaotic tapestry woven in fear and confusion. But as their eyes adjusted to the dim light filtering through, something caught Max's attention, a familiar glow emanating from a nearby rooftop. Hope and dread twisted together as he whispered, "That building, it leads to the main office. If I'm right, we can find out what Jenna's been hiding." As they prepared to leap across the gap, Max couldn't shake the sense that the truth lurking behind those walls might shatter everything he thought he knew. Would it condemn him, or give him the clarity he desperately sought? Should they take the risk? Or had they just stepped deeper into a web that only tightened around them? The metal rungs were slick under Max's grip, his palms clammy as they ascended higher. Each pull-up drew him closer to the truth and further from the chaos below, yet dread gnawed at him. What awaited them on the rooftop? A confrontation? An escape? Or something worse? Evelyn followed closely, her breath quickened but steady. "Max, you sure about this?" She peered into the darkness ahead, her voice wavering. "I have to be," he replied. Determination cut through the uncertainty. But even as he spoke, his mind spiraled with possibilities. What if they found out what Jenna had done? What if it implicated them? The rooftop was a flat expanse of cracked concrete, littered with debris. Max squinted into the haze of the city below, flickering lights like distant stars. But it wasn't the view that held his attention, it was the glimmer ahead, casting a strange, inviting glow. "Over there." Max pointed. "The office windows. Jenna's hiding something. We need to get closer." They stalked across the rooftop, the sounds of the chase muffled by the distance. Each footstep echoed, doubt weaving through their urgency. But the pulse of adrenaline surged back as they approached the edge of the building. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed below, sending a jolt through them. Max's heart pounded harder. What was that? He whispered. Evelyn tensed, her eyes wide. "I don't know, but we need to hurry." Silence fell between them, thick and oppressive like the weight of secrets hanging in the air. As they reached the building's edge, they found a slanted fire escape leading down to the office balcony. The decision hung heavy, leap down or linger in the unknown. "Max," she said slowly, choosing her words carefully, "this could be a mistake. What if we find something that changes everything?" "Then we deal with it," he said firmly, a mix of fear and resolve igniting within. "I can't run forever." "Neither can you." She nodded, albeit reluctantly, and together they descended the creaking metal. Each step felt monumental, a potential step into disaster. When they reached the balcony, Max pressed low against the door, a glass frame that glimmered with faint light. In that moment, he could hear voices drifting through the glass. "Needs to stay quiet, we can't let them find out." A low, chilling voice, one he recognized. "Jenna." "What about Max?" "He knows." His breath froze. He exchanged a glance with Evelyn. They both knew what that meant. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was bigger, darker. He pressed his ear closer to the door, straining to catch every word. "Unless we silence him now." The weight of those words hung heavy in the air, a familiar face tumbling down into a vortex of betrayal and scheming. Max's pulse raced with fear. "We need to back away quietly," he whispered urgently, but before they could move, the door slowly creaked open, revealing a darkened space filled with charts, photos, and a single desk illuminated by an ominous glow. Jenna appeared, flanked by a shadow he couldn't see. Max's heart dropped. The room was too quiet. His instinct screamed at him to retreat, but curiosity outweighed his fear. He bit his lip and motioned for Evelyn to stay back as he edged forward, peering inside. The view that unfolded shocked him. Charts detailing surveillance, photographs of them every moment perfectly captured, names he didn't expect mixed in with his own. It was a network of deceit wrapped around their lives. Max's chest tightened. "What the hell?" he muttered under his breath. But moments later, Jenna turned her head, her eyes locking onto his. You're not supposed to see this. Max stumbled backward, the shadows closing in. Evelyn! He shouted, panic slicing through him. This wasn't just a trap, it was a cold web of lies, secrets long buried, and now they were part of it. They had ventured too far, and the darkness was looking back at them. Run! But could they escape the truth that loomed just beyond the edge of the glass? As the lights flickered ominously in the office, the tension flared. What other secrets lay hidden in the folds of Jenna's plans? And would they survive the encounter that awaited them? Max's breath hitched as he stumbled back further, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Evelyn's face had paled at the revelation, eyes darting from Jenna to Max, then back again. The room felt suffocating, the air thick with secrets and unspoken truths. She knows we're here, Evelyn whispered, panic creeping into her voice. What do we do? Before he could respond, Jenna stepped out fully, the shadows slipping away like a bad dream. A sly smile crept onto her lips, but her eyes shimmered with an unsettling glint. I didn't expect you two to take such an interest in my work, or in my life, she said, mock innocence draping her words. Why are you doing this, Jenna? Max's voice trembled, but he pushed through, his heart pounding harder. What is all this? He gestured to the room, the stacks of photographs, the hidden cameras, the sinister web of their once innocent lives being documented. Because I have to control the narrative. You think you know what is best for you? Look around. This is bigger than you can imagine, she shot back, her eyes narrowing. And as for you, Max, well, let us say I'd prefer you have a more silent role. A chill ran down Max's spine. The threat hung in the air between them, tangible and terrifying. Behind Jenna, the enigmatic figure, the shadow he had barely seen, shifted, revealing a dark silhouette that heightened the tension. Was this her accomplice? Or was it someone even more dangerous? Evelyn's hand found Max's arm, squeezing tightly as if grounding herself in the moment. We need to get out of here, she urged in a frantic whisper. Now. Do you really think you can escape? Jenna laughed softly, a sound that sent shivers skittering down Max's spine. The moment you stepped foot on this balcony, you became part of this. You can't walk away now. Max glanced at the door. It felt so close, yet it was as if the distance between them widened with each passing second. Jenna, please, he said, desperation bleeding into his words. This isn't you. We can talk about this. Talk. She scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. You should understand by now that I'm done talking. It's time for action. As if on cue, the door behind them creaked open wider, and Max caught a glimpse of uniformed figures entering the hall. His heart dropped. What had Jenna unleashed? Were they here to silence them or protect her twisted ambitions? Who is coming? Evelyn gasped, her eyes darting to the figures. Just my little security detail, Jenna replied, a smile creeping across her face. You're not in control anymore, Max. You should have stayed in your comfortable little life. Evelyn stepped back, her mind racing. We can't let them take us. We have to fight. But even as she spoke, the two uniformed figures moved swiftly toward them, closing the distance. There was nowhere to run. The weight of her words echoed in the confines of the dark room, and chills shot through Max's heart. They were trapped, caught in a snare of Jenna's making. Evelyn stated, her eyes wide with fear, but they were cut short as Jenna gestured sharply, her voice forceful. Silence them. She ordered, and everything seemed to freeze. Max's heart raced, thoughts colliding in a chaotic frenzy of survival instinct. Could they break free? Would they even want to stay and fight against the inevitable? The mysterious figures advanced, and in an instant, the tension snapped. Max grabbed Evelyn's hand, tugging her back, instinct kicking in just as the room erupted into chaos. Run! He shouted again, the urgency in his voice unyielding, but the panicked breath of their pursuers echoed behind them. The darkness of the room seemed to swirl, shoving them towards an uncertain fate. What waited just beyond that door? Freedom or deeper trouble? As they sprinted for the exit, the end of their desperate gamble loomed. The question of whether they could escape Jenna's web echoed louder than ever. The moment drew near. Would they choose to unearth the truth or plunge further into darkness? With every heartbeat, the chase intensified, pushing them closer to the threshold of the unknown. What secrets awaited them just beyond salvation? In an adrenaline-fueled blur, Max and Evelyn sprinted through the office, evading the grasp of Jenna's security detail. The door loomed ahead, sunlight pooling in the narrow frame like a beacon of hope. But the voices behind them roared to life, echoing with the threats that painted their intentions in stark color. "Stop them!" barked one of the figures. Their heavy footsteps chased faster, the menacing tension spiraling ever closer. Max's lungs burned as panic surged within him. The world narrowed to that single point: the door. Heart racing, he hurled himself forward, grabbing the handle and yanking it open, a rush of fresh air pouring in like a life raft. They stumbled outside, the sun's brightness blinding but reviving. Max hardly processed the ground beneath him as he dashed into the open street, instinct propelling him forward, Evelyn tight at his side. But the chaos didn't relent. Jenna's voice echoed behind them, her tone a mix of shock and fury. "Don't let them get away." Max's pulse thundered as he turned just long enough to catch a glimpse of Jenna's wild eyes. She stood framed in the doorway like a predator, seething with rage, her silhouette sharp and menacing. Things had spiraled out of control, and he realized now, with a cold clarity, how deeply their lives had intertwined in a game he never wanted to play. "Where do we go?" Evelyn panted, glancing back in fear, knowing they could be caught at any moment. "Anywhere but here," Max shouted, scanning the street. Ahead, he saw a row of parked cars, a potential escape route. His instincts kicked in again. "We'll take that alley. It leads to the park." He pointed down the street, adrenaline burning in his veins. They bolted forward, weaving through deserted streets as shouts echoed behind them, the realization of their ensnarement dawning clarion in Max's mind. He glimpsed the fear in Evelyn's eyes, matching his own internal storm. She grabbed his arm, pulling him toward a narrow alley that opened toward a park blooming with soft light from scattered lampposts. "Max! We need to stop and think." Evelyn gasped, a tremor of uncertainty licking her tone. "There's no time for that. We need distance." He insisted, dragging her along as they leaped over obstacles, discarded boxes, unkempt vines, and shadows that cloaked their frantic escape. The park's edges loomed ahead, filled with trees casting elongated shadows that could hide them from the chaos unfolding behind. Just as they burst into the open space of the park, starlight glittering above, a stark contrast to the terror behind them, found a moment's reprieve. The distant sounds of the city buzzed like a distant hum, a ghost of normalcy they desperately craved. Max wheeled around, panting hard as he scanned the darkness, adrenaline still thrumming in his veins. "What do we do now?" he breathed, heart racing wildly. Evelyn's hands trembled, and she looked up at him wide-eyed. "Tell me everything. I need the truth, Max. I can't keep running in the dark." He took a deep breath, gathering the fragments of his thoughts, wrestling with the gravity of their reality. Jenna's not just in danger. She's involved with something bigger. I think someone's after my father's legacy, something he hid. There are people out there who want to use me. Her eyes widened further as realization hit. That's what the woman was talking about. Yes. They think I hold the key, but I don't even know what that means. Maybe we need to confront each of them, Evelyn proposed, a determined tilt to her jaw, fire igniting in her tone. If we can outsmart Jenna, maybe we can find out how to defuse this entire mess. But what if she's right? What if we don't survive this? There was an ache in Max's chest, a weight of fear of losing everything, yet curiosity lingered just behind the void. A tense silence enveloped them as they caught their breath, assessing their next move. Evelyn squeezed his hand tightly. "If we go back, we go together. We face this. Whatever truth awaits, we can handle it as long as we trust each other. Max nodded, certainty flowing through him. Okay, let us draw them out. Together. With a newfound resolve, they stepped back toward the alley, shadows lingering close behind them. Each step felt heavier, carrying the weight of their past choices, and yet a flicker of hope ignited as they joined forces against the looming menace. Whatever lay ahead, the conclusion of their tangled web of relationships would tie their fates together. The past could shatter, or they could emerge stronger than ever. As they approached the tangled web of darkness waiting to unravel, Max felt an empowerment reclaiming his heart. They were no longer just survivors, they were truth-seekers armed with determination. This time, there'd be no turning back. With their next step, they ventured into the confrontation, a standoff that would determine their futures come what may. But what would they discover in the confrontation ahead? What truths awaited them, and would they truly be ready to face them? Now's your chance to show your support in an amazing way. You need to subscribe immediately to catch the next exclusive story. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep our community thriving. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this thrilling conclusion. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. Your engagement makes all the difference. Let us dive into the next adventure together.